Before diving into this incredible story, consider subscribing to the channel and hitting the bell. Every story here has something to say, and you won't want to miss a single one. In the modern and bright offices of the head office of Velasys, a cutting-edge technology company located in the heart of Paris's 8th arrondissement, the day was in full swing. The glass walls let in a cold, perfect light, reflecting off the brushed steel surfaces, the impeccable polished concrete floors, and the high-definition screens hanging in the corridors, broadcasting the company's performance and the smiling faces of its leaders on a loop. The open spaces were bustling with rapid movement. Well-dressed figures moved from desk to desk, meetings erupted behind the glass walls, and the air vibrated with the familiar blend of expensive perfumes, freshly ground Arabica coffee, and hushed tension. Hushed conversations, punctuated by controlled laughter, outlined the daily drama of this modern hive where ideas flowed, projects were born, and where everyone seemed to have a clear direction, a goal, an urgency. In the midst of this well-oiled machine, Mariam, a woman of Senegalese origin in her 50s, often went unnoticed. Her dark blue uniform contrasted with the fitted suits and fitted shirts. Her steps were discreet, her posture straight but discreet. She moved in the interstices of the system, at a time when others barely looked up from their screens. Her graying hair, always neatly tied back under a plainly patterned black scarf, spoke of gentle discipline and a desire never to disturb. She wore a badge marked Service Maintenance, pinned at heart level, almost like a silent declaration of her place in this invisible pyramid that no one questioned.
Every day, she roamed the floors like a benevolent shadow.
She emptied the overflowing baskets of crumpled papers, erased fingerprints from the touchscreens, and cleaned the panoramic windows through which executives gazed at the city, dreaming of growth, fundraising, and international conquests.
She never interrupted a conversation.
She waited, always politely, for someone to let her pass so she could do her work. Some didn't even glance at her. Others gave her a distracted, thank you, without really seeing her. A handful smiled at her, out of reflex or embarrassment. But no one knew her name. Mariam was discreet, respectful, too often invisible, some thought, but she never complained. She didn't speak loudly, didn't laugh out loud, didn't impose herself. She always thanked. She always greeted. She observed everything in silence, with that kind of quiet elegance possessed only by those who no longer expect anything from the world, except peace. But every evening, once the offices had emptied of their frenzy, after putting away her rags and closing her trolley of products, she waited, motionless, in the shadows of the cafeteria. This moment was for her. When the kitchen staff, dressed in white and wearing hairnets, began to throw away the leftovers from lunch, quiches, soups, roast chicken, sometimes even slices of cake, she would move forward quietly, as if not to disturb them.
Excuse-me.
Is there anything left I could take with me? The first few days, the cooks had eyed her suspiciously. Was she starving? Why didn't she eat in the cafeteria like the others? Was it out of shame?
Out of pride.
But she never took more than what was offered to her. And never for herself. They quickly noticed that she was taking perfectly clean plastic containers out of her shopping bag. She was separating the portions, carefully organizing them, and wrapping the loaves in aluminum foil with almost maternal care. She wasn't trying to take advantage or beg. That evening, Antoine Morel, the CEO of Velasys, had stayed exceptionally late. The man in the dark suit, with the Swiss watch and strategic files, was working in his glass-fronted office on the top floor. His view overlooked the deserted cafeteria, bathed in a reassuring yellow light. He went downstairs to pour himself a coffee and, as he turned the corner, he saw her. Bent slightly over the containers, a grateful smile on her lips, greeting a cook before heading for the exit, bag in hand. He stood there, motionless, the still empty cup in his hand. He couldn't say why, but something struck him. It wasn't just a woman asking for leftovers. It was the manner.
The modesty.
The almost sacred dignity of the gesture. He didn't sleep well that night. He asked himself simple, dizzying questions. Was she in need? Did she live alone? Why had no one ever noticed her? The next evening, without warning anyone, he left the company alone, on foot, around 9 p.m. He followed Miriam discreetly, as one follows a riddle, driven by a force he did not yet understand. She walked for a long time, taking 2 metro lines, getting off in a working-class neighborhood in the 19th arrondissement. There, at the corner of an alley, she entered a small, modest-looking church. Under its porch, a dozen homeless people were gathered. Some slept wrapped in threadbare duvets. Others spoke to each other in low voices. Miriam calmly unpacked her trays. She called each one by name. She sometimes crouched down to their level and served gently. She took her time.
A look, a word, a gesture.
It wasn't a charity distribution. It was a silent ceremony, an offering of humanity. And what Antoine saw that evening, among the cold benches, blankets, and calloused hands, forever changed his view of his company and the world. The next morning, Antoine Morel discreetly summoned the Human Resources Director to his glass-fronted office, bathed in the cold light of dawn. He had barely slept. The image of Miriam, surrounded by the homeless, continued to haunt him, to touch a corner of himself he thought had been extinguished by years of figures, strategies, and balance sheets. "How long has Miriam been working here?" he asked in a calm, almost weary voice. The HR director, surprised by the question, quickly flipped through a digital file on his tablet. "She's been here for 11 years, sir. No incidents to report. Never a delay, never an unexcused absence."
An exemplary employee.
Antoine frowned. "And why has no one ever told me about her?" The HR director shrugged hesitantly. "Well, these are often positions that we hardly notice, you know. We only see them when they're missing." The words stung more than he expected. You only see them when they're missing.
A chilling truth.
How many times had he walked through these corridors, greeted the directors, congratulated the engineers, without ever meeting her gaze? The next day, he made an unusual decision. He left his office earlier than usual and stood in the lobby. The employees watched him walk by, intrigued. He ignored the stares. He waited. When Miriam went through the security gates with her bucket, trolley and latex gloves, she jumped when she saw him. "Madame Diop," he said in a soft voice. She stopped dead in her tracks, stunned. A superior had never spoken directly to her, least of all the CEOs. "Yes, sir," she replied, worried.
My name is Antoine Morel.
"I am the president of Velasys." She looked down instinctively. "I wanted to thank you for what you do in the evenings, after work."
I saw you yesterday.
Miriam looked at him, her lips parted, frozen. Her instinct for discretion urged her to flee. But he continued, his tone sincere. "I'm sorry if this seems intrusive. It wasn't premeditated. But what I saw affected me deeply." He invited her into his office. A first for her. There, in this luxurious space that she had never seen except through the window, she sat timidly, upright on the edge of the armchair. Antoine gently explained his idea to her. He wanted to create an official program to redistribute unsold food, with a truck, a team of volunteers, and a partnership with local associations. And above all, he wanted Miriam to be the main coordinator. He also suggested that she create a foundation in her name. The foundation, the Rests of the Heart, Miriam Diop. She opened her eyes wide.
Sir.
"I'm just a cleaning lady."
I benever mani danitin.
He smiled. "You already lead far more than you realize. You've brought people together on the streets. You give meaning to what's been thrown away. You restore dignity to those who are forgotten. That's all this company needs to understand." She hesitated.
Te singerais.
Then she nodded timidly. A year later, the Velasys entrance hall was no longer quite the same. There, among the technological trophies and portraits of executives, stood a large photo of Miriam, taken one winter evening, smiling as she handed a tray to a homeless man. Below the photo, an engraved quote. "Kindness doesn't require a degree. Just courage and consistency. Every evening, a truck in the sober but elegant colors of the Miriam Diop Foundation left the premises with meals, bread, sweets, but also blankets, clothes, and sometimes letters handwritten by the employees themselves. Executives, interns, and technicians would come to lend a hand after work. They called it human time. Some even said it did them more good than a motivational seminar. As for Miriam, she hadn't changed.
Still humble, still discreet.
But now, when she walked through the halls, people greeted her. Some stopped to talk to her. Others asked for advice. She had brought something to the company that no software, no contract, no strategy could have, a conscience. And through her, Velasys had rediscovered what is most precious in innovation: humanity.